Several landmark decisions have been made in America's recent past to improve the lives of those living with disabilities. One such decision was the Americans with Disabilities Act, or the ADA, which was passed in 1990 by President George H.W. Bush. The ADA strives to ensure that individuals with disabilities are given the same opportunities as other Americans in a variety of arenas. While this bill provides legal protection against discrimination for those with disabilities, it has done little to grant them the opportunity for financial success that is held so highly in American society. Individuals with disabilities experience poverty at a drastically higher rate than the general population. This difference shows a great need for improvement in both policy and public opinion to allow individuals with disabilities to have a chance at achieving the American dream. While many see the ADA as the only tool necessary to protect the disabled community, statistics show that this is simply not the case. There is a popular mentality that permeates American culture that says that in order to be successful in life, one must pull themselves up by their bootstraps. This mentality proves incredibly detrimental to those with disabilities who experience obstacles above and beyond what a typical person experiences. These obstacles make this ideology difficult or impossible to fulfill. The harm that this mentality causes can clearly be seen by looking at the prevalence of poverty for those with disabilities. Ideally, economic success in the general population would carry over into the population of individuals with disabilities. This is simply not the case. The poverty rate is currently 2.5 times higher for individuals with disabilities when compared to those with no documented disabilities. Another concerning fact is that from 1990 to 2013, the average income for Americans increased steadily. The average median income for Americans with disabilities, on the other hand, steadily declined during this same period. Despite the passage of the ADA in 1990, as well as progress within the disability rights movement, this figure demonstrates that poverty has maintained its tight grip on the disability community. For the American population as a whole, 2/3 of all individuals that are experiencing long-term poverty have a disability of some kind. Studies show that people with disabilities are more likely to experience material hardship than people without disabilities who are living at the same income level. This could be a result of the high cost of living associated with being or caring for someone with a disability. These statistics are important as they show that much of America's problem with poverty could be solved if appropriate efforts were taken to help get individuals with disability out of poverty. By implementing and adapting policies that help individuals with disabilities to become financially successful, 2/3 of our nation's poor population could be brought out of poverty. One major area that influences disability and poverty is employment. Research shows that individuals with disabilities have a harder time finding stable employment than their non-disabled peers. This could be for a variety of reasons. One study done in 2008 tried to understand how employers' perceptions may impact how they hire individuals with disabilities. The study surveyed project managers and members of human resources departments on their attitudes towards disability. The study found that many supervisors held negative perceptions of those with disabilities involving their productivity, social maturity, interpersonal skills, and psychological adjustment. This study documents the implicit bias within companies that can prevent members of the disabled community from getting hired. Estimates show that up to 70% of blind or visually impaired individuals are unemployed, while 80% of those with developmental or intellectual disabilities are unemployed. Many jobs that are offered to those with disabilities are low or minimum wage or part-time jobs that do not offer benefits. Surprisingly, since the ADA was passed, which sought to expand the disabled community's access to the workforce, employment rates have been cut in half. In 1990, 28.4% of disabled adults were employed. This number dropped to 14.4% by 2013. There are many possible improvements that could lessen the levels of poverty for Americans with disabilities and help them to escape its vicious cycle. First, America could increase its minimum wage. It has been clearly documented that the current minimum wage is not a livable one for the average person. This is especially true for individuals who may have a variety of extra expenses due to their condition. Secondly, government officials should work to expand and protect programs like Social Security and Medicaid that provide a safety net and alleviate some of the burden of high medical expenses. Next, as the study I discussed earlier demonstrated, employers across the country and in every field need further education on disability issues and the rights that disabled workers are entitled to. By educating employers on disability, employers may be more likely to hire individuals and be better equipped to train and supervise them properly. Another improvement that could be made is ensuring that there is accessible public transportation available to riders with disabilities. This provides them with a reliable way to get back and forth to work and make a living. Finally, providing more accessible housing that is affordable would be beneficial. Too often, accessibility in housing is viewed as an added bonus rather than a basic requirement. This leads to either having to spend more for an accessible house or having to pay large sums to make accommodations to make a home livable. If housing developers begin implementing universal design in their planning, individuals would not have to choose between housing that is affordable or housing that is accessible. While there has been great progress within the disability rights movement in recent years, there is still need for great improvement to allow those with disabilities to live above the poverty line. The first step towards equality for individuals with disabilities is for society as a whole to change the way we think about disability. By educating oneself on the issues that are relevant to individuals with disabilities, every citizen can work to be an advocate for the disability community. Hopefully, in coming years, individuals with disabilities will be freed to experience all of the opportunities, including financial stability, which the Americans with Disabilities Act sought to make available.